Brendan, while you're up there, why don't you go ahead and follow up? I stretched the rules a little bit. Our 3-minute rule for these two gentlemen, they've come a long way, and giving them a little additional time, I hope you all understand. I'm telling you, you need to get this to where the folks in the audience can see the graphic here. This is phenomenal.
If I may, Mr. Chair,
yes.
Right before Brendan comes up, what you heard just a few moments ago was the same presentation that Jon had given at the Senate Transportation Committee, the same committee that I testified at in regards to distracted driving this past year. Distracted driving passed the Senate Transportation Committee unanimously. It was moved to the House. The House put it in a drawer. They did not pass it saying that it's too much regulation. It's too much regulation. I can't believe that. Yavapai County is a leader in a lot of things, and for myself, that's where this mission continued. We were waiting and wanting the state to do something that is their responsibility, not ours. But because of their failure to act, this board is going to take on the action, and we're going to see what we can do today to ratify this and hopefully entice other counties to come on board as well. Furthermore, enticing the state to be able to act as their responsible party. So, Brendan, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Let's hear what you have to say.
Supervisor Jack Smith, those words resonate very deeply.
Right. Brendan?
Chairman Simmons and supervisors of the board, my name is Brendan Lyons. I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning to drive all the way here from Tucson, Arizona. I've served Southern Arizona as a career firefighter, much like Jon Hall here. But when I was struck by a distracted motorist on that bicycle, severely injured, on my day off, my dream job was cut short. I spent a month in the hospital and 2 years of therapy after sustaining serious injuries. I'd like to make note that I am a non-paid advocate serving as the executive director of Look, Save a Life, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. I worked closely with Pima County Supervisors, the City of Tucson, and the Town of Oro Valley to get their ordinance on hands-free as a primary offense passed, as well as have advocated for a state law since my incident in 2013, and I was at the very same Senate Transportation Committee hearing. I have a great appreciation for what it takes to serve, so thank all of you for being here, as well as a strong vision for bringing public awareness to the growing epidemic of distracted driving. Distractions are real. Every day, distracted driving kills, and families are left to bear the burdens of these preventable losses. Distracted driving is defined as anything that takes your eyes off the road, your hands off the wheel, and your mind off the task of driving. Humans cannot operate a motor vehicle while multitasking without doing risk to public safety. I implore you not only to pass this ordinance, but by unanimous decision, you will be sending a very loud message to our state legislature that local jurisdictions are now being forced to act because of our legislature's failure to do so. I am lucky to be standing here before you as a survivor. I could talk about the statistics and the number of crashes and fatalities that are on the rise right here in Arizona, but this isn't about numbers. This is about lives. Right here, we've got 3 large photographs of DPS officer Timothy Huffman's vehicle when in May of 2013, just a few months after my own incident, DPS officer Timothy Huffman was on scene of a motor vehicle crash on the interstate when this semi-truck driver was on Facebook looking at inappropriate content when he plowed into the back of DPS officer's Timothy Huffman's vehicle, killing him instantly. There's a larger picture with his clipboard on the bottom of the floor. These are the lives such as DPS officer Timothy Huffman, former Phoenix firefighter Thomas Hall, whose son Jonathan is here before you, Barbara Applebaum, Megan Lee, Daniel Wilson, Robert Lucky, Frank Fersetto, Rob Dollar, Jennifer Hines, John Knorr, Timothy Breslin, Sean Doss, Humberto Noah, Kathy Cook, Michael Allison, Manuel Patton, and Linda Doyle.
Could you please show the audience those pictures so they can see what we're seeing? They're devastating.
Sadly, as a firefighter, I've seen firsthand how these devastating crashes not only affect those who fall victim, but once again the families left behind to pick up the pieces. On October 4th, 2013, I went for a bike ride on the morning of my girlfriend's birthday. According to the crash report, a motorist traveling 45 miles per hour struck us both from behind while we were in a dedicated bike lane. I sustained numerous spinal fractures and pelvis fractures, was treated for a traumatic brain injury, and forced to a lengthy hospital recovery. I went through months of doctor's appointments with seemingly endless physical, cognitive, occupational, vocational rehabilitation. I often had to use a wheelchair just to get around and couldn't drive for up to 6 months because of my diagnosed traumatic brain injury. I was informed that bystanders had stopped instantly to render aid. One passerby who arrived just seconds after the crash stated, "We stopped. There was a lady picking up stuff off the road. We helped clean the road so that traffic could pass. Your bike was scattered a good 30 feet down the street. I'm pretty sure that the radiator was leaking. I picked up plastic from the car's front end off the road. Not sure if it was the lower front end or the bumper underneath up in the fender well. But the vehicle had sustained a lot of damage. A lot of damage because it had struck me at 45 miles per hour. There was a woman helping your girlfriend and a man with you. I stood over you for a couple minutes. Although not trained in first aid, didn't know what else we could do. We heard sirens approaching, knew that we were in the way, so we went ahead and left. The sirens screaming to our aid were in fact my own brothers and sisters from the very fire department that I was employed with. I was told at first they didn't even recognize me. However, the mechanism of injury required these trained professionals to kick into high gear. At a certain chilling moment, loading me in the back of the ambulance, they were stunned, realizing that they were treating one of their own. They packaged both of us in full protective spinal precautions, immobilizing us to long backboards. 2 fire apparatus had to be taken out of service so that additional manpower could be utilized on the ambulances because of the severity of our injuries. They expedited and transported us separately to Southern Arizona's Level 1 trauma facility at Banner University Medical Center. What I do remember didn't occur until days later. I remember awakening in a hospital bed in excruciating pain. I remember a cornucopia of wires, tubes, electrodes, and multiple IV lines extending from my body. I remember the profound burning sensation from sliding across the rough asphalt, and can recall a team of doctors, nurses, and therapists set me up for the very first time. And I can recall screaming from the piercing pain that must have echoed throughout the hospital walls. You see, it's a very strange thing, being physically fit to perform your duties as a firefighter, or riding even your bicycle 100 miles on any given day, then wake up the next day in a hospital bed, unable to perform simple tasks such as walking or going to the bathroom on your own. All because of this. With my shattered bicycle frame staged here as a centerpiece of safety, I hope that my story resonates with each and every one of you on how a moment's distraction can be a lifetime of regret. I implore you to accept the personal responsibility for authority of creating public safety laws such as the one before you today. Now, it was mentioned that yes, distracted driving takes a shape in many forms. There are those who manipulate their cell phones, and there are those who put on makeup, read behind the wheel, eat, all kinds of different things. The key difference is the level of distraction and how often are people doing it. The 3 major factors to consider here are exposure to risk, prevalence of use, and the degree of distraction. Cell phones are off the charts when it comes to this. Chairman, Board of Supervisors, from the bottom of my heart, I woke up at 3:30 this morning to present before you. Please send a loud message to our state legislature in adopting this before you today. Thank you so much.
I cannot get over the fact. Phil, we'd like to do a roll call so that you folks that go down to the legislative can take that message on. So do I ask for a motion? I'm going to make the motion.
Mr. Chair, if I may, if that's all the green sheets that we have
On this.
for public speaking?
Yes, I've got somebody else for the call of the public.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that the Board of Supervisors adopt Ordinance 2018-2, an ordinance of the Yavapai County Board of Supervisors regulating portable communication devices and texting while operating a motor vehicle.
And I'd be honored to second that
Been
motion.
moved by Supervisor Smith, seconded by Supervisor Brown. There being no further discussion, those in favor signify by saying aye.
We're going to do a roll call
We're gonna
vote.
do a roll. I apologize. Do a roll call. Ken?
Okay, I'd like to start with Chairman Simmons,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Garrison,
Yes.
Supervisor Brown,
Yes.
Supervisor Smith,
Absolutely, yes.
Supervisor Thurman.
Yes.
It's unanimous vote.
It's adopted.
Passes.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for coming up. Really
If
appreciate
I
it.
may, real quick, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chair, think of the message we just sent our kids.
Yes.
Think of
And
the
this
message.
Young man.
Think of what we just did here today, folks. I applaud you all for coming out and speaking of this. We will be taking this full board down to the State Legislature this year. We will also be taking it to our summit, which this Board of Supervisors will be sitting on and having a very thorough discussion with all of our other counties about this distracted driving ordinance. So thank you very much.